Hey everybody, welcome to the Home Improvement channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace a single piece of vinyl siding. You may have a crack in it, a hole in it, or whatever your problem may be. I'm going to show you how to replace it and make it real easy for you. I'm also going to show you some of my preferred methods of measuring and cutting the siding. So stay tuned, we're going to be action-packed all the way through. Now, as usual, if you found any value in this video, please click that subscribe button below so you don't miss any content. And also click on that like button. It'll help me out with the algorithm. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so what we have here is a couple of different common situations that you're going to run into in replacing your siding. This top situation that we have right here is where you're working on a long wall, 20, 30, 40 feet long, however long it is, and you've got lots of these kind of joints available to you right here. Now this situation is a little bit easier, and this second situation is where your piece of siding is solid, continuous, between two pieces of J-channel or corners or whatever you got there, but there's no joint in there. This one is a little more difficult, but it's still no problem. But let's look at this situation. Say we've got a crack in this piece right here from your neighbor's golf ball. He was practicing golf and knocked the ball into the side of your house instead of down the course like it's supposed to be. Well, now we've got a hole in our siding. This situation is easy. To replace this piece, all you would have to do is pull the piece loose that's above this, okay? And you would grab this, all right, and pull down and then out like so. Same thing with this next one. Pull it down like so. Okay, now we're actually prepared to take this loose, which is what I would have had to done here to get this one out. We're not going to replace this one. That was just a situation, a scenario. All right, so let's replace this piece of siding, okay? Now, if you pull this back a little bit, this siding is pretty flexible, by the way, so as long as it's not freezing cold, you're probably not going to hurt it. I don't recommend doing this on a day where it's freezing cold because this will crack and you'll just amplify your problem. But we've got this one loose, all right, so we can pull these nails out. But before we do that, I want to show you how I would get this loose, okay, to say replace this piece of siding. We're not going to. I just want to show you how to get it loose like I did here. So I have a tool like this, all right, it's got a little hook on the end. You can actually make these things. All you got to do is have a flat piece of metal, heat it up with a torch and bend it over. I made one of these things 10 years ago because I needed it on a job, and I was like, well, I got to have it now. I didn't have time to wait for the mail. So anyway, that's another side story. But yeah, to get this out, you can maybe jam this up in the middle here somewhere if you think you can. It's a lot more difficult. If you go to the end over here, it makes it a lot easier. You kind of just jam it up in there, and you tilt it back like so, and then like that. It grabs hold of that, gets it started. Now you can pull it out. All right, so now let's pull these nails out. If you've got a flat pry bar like this, that's a good tool for that. Now I went ahead and popped the bottom back in here so I can show you something. And I've already pulled the other two nails out of my mock-up here. So I've got all the nails out. Now normally all you have to do on this, instead of trying to get this loose here on the end, is grab it and push down just like so. And you may have to bend it a little bit and it'll come right out, okay? Okay, so say you don't have your old piece, the wind got a hold of it and blew it 3 counties down, and that's the end of that. So no problem, all you have to do is just measure. Go ahead and push your tape measure all the way up into the J-channel so it's in there. Let's get a total. So we're about 48.5 total right here, okay? So we could probably make this piece 48 and a quarter probably be good. You want to leave a little bit of room for expansion. Now on this shorter piece up here, just say you want to measure for that piece, we've got exactly 24 to our next piece. You'll want to leave about 1 inch to 1 1/4 inches of overlap here, okay? So to accommodate for that, we've got 24, so we want to add 1 1/4 inches. So let's make this piece 25 1/4, something like that. That'll give enough room for some expansion down there, and we'll still get at least an inch on this side for overlap. Okay, so very simple. Okay, so real quick, I wanted to show you these notches that they put in the end of the siding real quick. This way they can lay on top of each other like so. Okay, sort of, like so. Now that way they're laying properly, they're laying nice and flat. If you don't cut those notches in there, you're not going to get that. Now if you wind up with a piece that doesn't have a notch in it because you had to cut off the end, you can manually cut this notch, just trace out the original one using a good piece of siding, and there you go. It's not a big problem. I also wanted to show you real quick on the siding. This has a barcode on here. It also has some numbers on here. Now sometimes that code, the barcode and the numbers will be on the back of the siding, you know, somewhere in this area. This doesn't have it. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of ways that I prefer to cut siding. One is the angle grinder. It actually works pretty good, even though it does make a little bit of a mess. I just have a metal cutting blade on this one, and that's all that is. It's a thin blade. It makes a little bit of a fine sawdust mess, but it works good and it gives a smooth cut. So that worked. It's nice and smooth. It's no problem. Now they do make a vinyl cutting saw blade for your 7 1/4 inch saw. I actually have never tried one of those. This is a pretty fine-tooth blade on this little saw, and it really doesn't work very well at all. It chips and bucks and does all kinds of crazy stuff. So maybe the vinyl cutting blade will work better. But it doesn't matter because this is actually my preferred method of cutting this. Big pair of scissors. Works great. Not that expensive. It'll cut around corners. It'll do all kinds of stuff. And best of all, there's no mess. Nice clean cut, no sawdust, no nothing. So those are my preferred methods of cutting siding. All right, so we've got our newly cut piece right here. Now this piece will be easy to get in here, but say if it was a short piece you're trying to squeeze between these J-channels, this stuff will bend quite a bit. The trick is to push one in underneath the J-channel with your hand underneath, and then you can use that to bend the piece. Now if you're working with a 12-inch piece, you can take this and kind of pull it back somewhat to help you get more room on that. Okay, so there's ways to make everything flex to get it in there. Otherwise you're going to have to take it all loose from the top and drop them down, which you may have to do if it just will not go, but it usually will go just by using those methods right there. So let's get this in here, and you'll want to lock that in right here. Okay, and just go ahead and put your nails back in. While you're nailing, you'll want to pull up a little bit on the siding to kind of help it lock in real good. And then you don't want to nail these tight, okay? You'll want to leave a gap here so that this will flex, because if your house is like this and you nail it tight, the siding is going to look like Niagara Falls, okay? So leave those nails just a little bit loose. Alright, so I've got all 3 of my nails in, everything's locked in. So now we just need to get this piece on. Using my tool, just go ahead and hook that under there and pull it down so that you can kind of go along there like a zipper, just like so. Do the same thing here, grab a hold of it and then follow it down with your hand. And then to get it out, just go like that. There we go. That's replaced. Good as new. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching.